Hey everyone, Ranger William here with another episode of the Partisans United, Patriot Leaders and the Pursuit of Patrick Ferguson. What we're looking at with this series is a more in-depth kind of biographical look at some of the Patriot leadership that were on the Overmountain Victory Trail leading to the Battle of Kings Mountain on October 7th, 1780. Really focusing on the differences of these guys, but also some of their similarities and how they shared command, they joined together, and they were able to accomplish this great Patriot victory. Now, on our introduction episode, we talked a little bit about kind of where the Overmountain Victory Trail goes. You see a map of that here and all the different jurisdictions that this would have passed through in 1780. Not only where all these different guys came from with their own leaders, but where they passed through kind of the territory of these other leaders and kind of highlighted how surprising it is, how important it is that these guys cooperated. Our first real episode, we talked about Isaac Shelby, kind of one of the big brain ideas, kind of the idea guys behind this gathering of Overmountain men. But now in episode 2, we're going to talk about this guy, John Sevier, or Nolichucky Jack, a nickname for the Nolichucky River where he later settled. But looking at his early background, you're looking at him being 35 years old at the time of this travel down the trail. The son of French Huguenots. So just like we had Isaac Shelby, who had a Welsh background, now we have John Sevier with a French background, no Scotch-Irish yet. So you're looking at him being born in Augusta County, Virginia in 1745 on September 23rd, for those who want to mark and celebrate his birthday. And he's going to be the oldest of 7 siblings. His parents, Valentine Sevier, and his mother, Joanna Goad. And they come to Baltimore in 1740, and by the time they're having all these kids, they're trying to get some businesses going in Western Virginia in the kind of the Shenandoah Valley. However, the French and Indian War starts. John Sevier is going to be 10 years old when you really see a lot of violence on that frontier. His family is going to flee to Fredericksburg, Virginia, a little more east. This is where John's going to get some education, just a basic education there. But as soon as it's safe, they go back to the valley and they try to break into business. John, at 16 years old, he's going to marry Sarah Hawkins. They're going to start farming. They're going to start trying to help his father's trading business. He's going to be involved with a bit of a tavern business, trying to get that operated in what becomes Newmarket, Virginia. And in his trading, in his travels, always trying to look for that next good opportunity. You see the Seviers kind of start eyeballing this Western land, especially in those years after the French and Indian War, when there's so much opportunity further west on the frontier. John is going to visit the Holston River area in 1771 and 72, kind of scoping things out, see how it looks for a chance for his family to resettle. And one of his trips in 1772, he's going to be kind of turned away by the violence that he sees, some of the rough frontier culture at a horse race at Watauga Oldfields. A man named Choate there is going to kind of bully and steal a horse from a guy and kind of just bluff him into backing down. This isn't going to sit too well with John Sevier. But he ends up moving to Carter Valley, kind of down the road a little bit. What's now kind of Bristol, Tennessee, on the north shore of the Holston River. And when his family moves down here in December of 1773, we're not just looking at, just John. He's going to bring his whole family. By now, it's going to be him, Sarah, and 7 kids. Also, his parents, Valentine and Joanna, are coming. His siblings are coming. Robert, Joseph, Abrahams, Polly, and Catherine. This whole Sevier clan moving down here to Carter Valley to get established. Now, as soon as they get down there, you do see John get involved in some of the political background, some of the leadership of this area. He's going to be a part of the Watauga Association in 1775, trying to implement some self-government over these communities, which are viewed by the authorities as illegal. They're beyond the boundary of where these white settlers are supposed to be. They are encroaching in Cherokee territory, so neither Virginia nor North Carolina will really claim them right now. So it's up to the settlers themselves to kind of make their own government. In 1776, in the spring, he's actually going to be part of a group to send the Watauga petition to Virginia requesting to be annexed. Again, wanting to be taken under the umbrella of Virginia government, but it's going to be denied. Virginia does not want to get involved with this sticky situation out there. Eventually, North Carolina is going to add them as a county. But John is going to be involved that summer as you start to get some threats, some worry about the Cherokee Nation going to war against these settlers. There are warning letters sent by British Indian agents warning the settlers, hey, you know you're not supposed to be here. You have 20 days to get out. Here's a chance to resettle somewhere else, but you know you're not supposed to be here. It's time to leave. Instead of taking these warnings and leaving, a lot of these settlers are going to fortify. They're going to build stations or little forts, stockades to defend themselves. He starts building, Sevier's involved with Fort Lee along the Nolichucky Valley. Then he's warned by Nancy Ward. Nancy Ward is going to be the beloved woman of the Cherokee, kind of a pro-peace Cherokee leader. She actually warns John Sevier and his settlers that an attack is imminent, it is coming, and then they decide this Fort Lee is not going to be strong enough. They fall back to Fort Caswell on the Watauga River. That summer, on July 21st, 1776, Fort Caswell is going to be attacked. Cherokee leaders led by Old Abram. You're going to see John Sevier as one of the supporting leaders of the militia inside the fort, and they are going to be kind of under siege there at the fort until August 5th, 1776. Now, something that happens during this siege, there is a story of there were some women from the fort that went outside to check on some of the cattle, and they were attacked by some Cherokee warriors. They start running back to the station. One woman, Catherine Sherrill, does not make it back inside the gate before it has to close. And so John Sevier reaches down, he climbs up and reaches down over the wall and pulls Catherine Sherrill, also known as Bonnie Kate, up and into the fort for safety. And we're going to meet her in a couple more years down the road. But October 5th, the siege is lifted. And finally, there in November of 1776, you get the Washington District of North Carolina created, encompassing these settlements. John Sevier is one of those commissioners sent to the North Carolina Constitutional Convention. So you do see Sevier take part in William Christian's expedition in 1776, that fall into the winter. He's going to be serving against the Cherokee Nation some more. He's going to be garrison of a fort there at the Long Island of the Holston River, kind of a very important spot to the Cherokee Nation, a very big treaty spot throughout this early American frontier history. Let's fast forward a little bit. In 1780, you're going to see his wife Sarah passes away while giving birth to their 10th child. We believe it's sometime in the spring. But then that summer, John is going to remarry, and he remarries to Bonnie Kate, to Catherine Sherrill. And they're going to have 9 more children together. So we got a big growing family here with the Seviers. Now, when John Sevier first hears about the Kings Mountain campaign, the Overmountain Men gathering, one story is that it's actually at his wedding celebration that he hears about this, but the odds are it was more just a gathering, a community gathering, a horse race. It wasn't actually his wedding celebration. But he's going to be one of the main leaders of the Overmountain Men, fighting at Kings Mountain. But as soon as they get back to their Overmountain settlements, he hears that there have been more Cherokee attacks. So you're going to see him organize a bunch of these frontiersmen to go join in the Boyd's Creek campaign all through that winter, November and December, until New Year's Day of 1781, when they start to head back home. Now, this is going to kind of mark most of John Sevier's military service. You're not going to see a lot of fighting against British regulars, a little bit against loyalist militia, loyalist neighbors, but it's mostly going to be his interactions with the Cherokee Nation. So March of 81, you actually see another military expedition led by John Sevier against the middle towns of the Cherokee, kind of in far western North Carolina. His reputation with the Cherokee and his reputation for interacting with the Cherokee is so strong that he's actually appointed by General Nathaniel Greene to be part of a commission sent to try and form some kind of peace treaty with the Cherokee, especially the Chickamauga Cherokee, the more pro-war faction. In July of 1782, there's a big treaty held at the Long Island of the Holston River, again, a very important spot. John Sevier is one of the commissioners sent by the Americans. Josiah Martin from Virginia is another commissioner, but no lasting permanent results come along from this meeting. which is evident in September of 1782. Another expedition was launched by the Americans against the Chickamauga down in Georgia, North Georgia, and Alabama along the Coosa River. And John Sevier is going to be there. The Battle of Lookout Mountain is going to defeat a small force of Cherokee warriors there. But in our last few minutes, I want to really talk about what happens with Sevier after the war. Those of you who know his story knows it gets really juicy here. In June of 1784, North Carolina is going to cede its western counties to the federal government, unable to pay for the expenses of maintaining it. But the federal government, the Continental Congress, they don't really step in immediately. So there's a bit of a power vacuum that happens there. Not sure who's in control, who owns, who protects these counties. So they form their own state, the state of Franklin. March of 1785, John Sevier is going to be elected as the first governor of Franklin. He's going to try and expand their boundaries with the local American Indian nations. You're going to see all these treaties held with Sevier, leading Franklin, not leading North Carolina. There's going to be clashes between the pro-Franklin and pro-North Carolina groups, including John Sevier against his old neighbor and old friend John Tipton, including February 27th, 1786. You're going to see possibly the only real kind of battle of these two groups at John Tipton's farm, where you've had John Tipton has seized a bunch of John Sevier's property as back taxes. In this couple days of a siege, 2 men are killed, a bunch of guys are captured. And this is going to continue on until 1788, when the governor of North Carolina, Samuel Johnson, issues a warrant for Sevier's arrest, saying you are in rebellion against the state of North Carolina. But this whole while, Sevier is trying to lead Franklin, trying to make it a powerful entity. At one point, he even considers the idea of, well, if the American government won't recognize us, maybe Spain would recognize us, make us a part of their empire. Finally, February 1789, takes an oath of allegiance back to North Carolina, serves in the North Carolina State Senate. He's going to serve with the Southwest Territory. And finally, fast forward a little bit here, you're going to see a rivalry between John Sevier and Andrew Jackson. At one point, he even calls Andrew Jackson a poor, pitiful, petty, fogging lawyer. So not a lot of love between these two. And where is it? In 1796, you're going to see John Sevier elected as the first governor of the state of Tennessee, finally recognized and given statehood. But the Andrew Jackson dispute is going to keep going. There's actually a time in the streets of Knoxville that they start to pull pistols on each other when they run into each other. A couple shots are exchanged there. But John Sevier, ever known for his treaties and trying to make peace negotiations with different American Indian nations, he's going to die September 24th, 1815, out in the Creek Nation lands in the Alabama territory, surveying this. He's going to die on the Tallapoosa River near Fort Decatur at 70 years old. So that's a little bit about John Sevier, very much the frontiersman. He's going to lead these Overmountain guys to join up with Isaac Shelby with a few others and fight at the Battle of Kings Mountain. But I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about Nolichucky Jack, and I hope you stay tuned for the rest of this series. Thanks for watching.